Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello listeners, I hope you enjoyed the Boxing Day game. I know I certainly did. Another 3-2 victory for Huddersfield, and Sorba Thomas was the star of the show, so really, really good game. As you know, the games are always coming thick and fast during the winter period, and we've got another game coming up against Nottingham Forest. So I'm recording this on Wednesday, day before the game. I had to double check because you know what it's like during these couple of days, but I hope you've all been enjoying your Christmas break. So we've got another fan chat for you coming up here. I spoke to Rich from the Forest Ramble to preview the game against Forest. It was funny because the previous time we spoke, Chris Hughton actually got sacked while we were recording it, so we have a little joke about that. But we also talk about Steve Cooper, who's come in and done a really good job at Nottingham Forest, and I think it'll be a tough game, but you know, who knows, might be another 3-2 to Town. I'm sure we'd all take that. Before we crack into it, this will be the last fan chat of 2021, so just wanted to wish everyone a really happy new year. Hope you've all managed to celebrate, relax, and you know, get to enjoy and see in the new year right, and you know, 3 points would be great, wouldn't it? Up the Town, and have a good one. Hi Rich, thanks for joining me. So last time we spoke, Chris Hughton was actually sacked while we were chatting. I'm sure you remember, but I don't think it'll be the case with Steve Cooper this time. So tell us about the impact he's had on the team.
Well, hi there guys. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas and thanks for getting in touch. Yeah, we kind of got a bit usurped last time. News moved faster than we could as Chris Hughton was sacked during our conversation. Steve Cooper, however, well, you know what? It's been nothing short of a revolution. Cooper has been somebody who's brought in a more progressive style of play. He's been full of positivity. And most importantly, he's got the existing squad playing to their strengths, which is something that Chris Hughton never quite managed to do. That's in terms of tactics, in terms of positions, in terms of motivation, in terms of formations. So it really has been, and this is a word we have used a number of times, a revolution.
And how do you think Forest will get on in the second half of the season?
As for the rest of the season, I say we've gone from being very much bottom of the table last time we spoke to being just outside the playoff zone. I don't worry too much about the table at this stage of the season. Maybe at the end of January you can start talking to me about that. And of course the Championship is a very, very tight league, as we know, because your victory the other day when we lost meant that you went above us in the table into the and became much more in the running for the playoffs. So in terms of the second half of the season, well, it'll partly depend upon January. Our squad's looking a little bit thin at the moment, but the mood is much better. The club seem to have more of a strategy. So generally a positive mood.
And I know we talked about Steve Cooper there briefly, but what has he changed in regards to the style of the team on the pitch?
As I mentioned earlier, Steve Cooper's tactics and formations are a world apart from what Chris Hughton used. And I use the word tactics, you know, very deliberately there, because formations are formations. Hughton and Cooper both have used 4-2-3-1 a lot, but Hughton rigidly stuck to it with the two defensive midfielders not really having much licence. He wanted his wingers to track back and the fullbacks to provide the width, whereas Cooper plays the same formation in a very different way. The other thing you'll have noticed, and this is before Cooper even became the manager, is our squad is generally quite well suited to a 3-4-3. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Forest playing with a back three against you on Thursday night. Let's wait and see. That's a decision that's made on a match-by-match basis. But the main thing is that Forest are now playing on the front foot. They are 10 or 20 yards higher up the pitch, and you only have to look at the impact of a player like Ryan Yates, who underachieved for a year or so under Chris Hughton, to see how that change in mindset has improved his all-round game, notwithstanding the clangor that he drops the other day with that horrific own goal away at Borough.
And although Cooper wasn't in charge for the previous game between these two teams, I really felt like Forest did a number on Huddersfield that day. What did you make of the game and Huddersfield in that one?
you know what, in my mind, although that match was a bit of a one-off, you get that relief that the Houghton days were over, and the players never slagged off Chris Houghton, but after he went, there were a few interviews where they're saying, yeah, without saying in so many words, they said, yeah, we were a bit restricted. So that match was all about Forest finding their freedom, and Stephen Reid just telling the players to go out and express themselves, playing people in their best positions. And you saw the difference it made in terms of the way that we attacked. Obviously, the goal that Graben scored after that terrific run by Brennan Johnson was a real case in point, and that's when Forest really are at their attacking best, when they're playing that kind of counter-attacking style. As for you, I mean, look, you're a good team. I have no idea what your expectations are, but we're getting to the point whereby, although league positions don't necessarily mean that much because there's a lot that can change, the table doesn't lie, and you know what, you're in and around the playoffs, so that's not a bad thing. So I would hope that both teams could be there or thereabouts later on.
Are there any players we need to keep an eye out for on Saturday?
Well, you already know about Brennan Johnson, don't you? He really did what has become one of his trademark moves, really. He got the ball, he ran forward, he attacked his defenders at pace, took them on, and then put a ball into the corridor of uncertainty. And when Brennan's at his best, that's what he does. Don't expect him to do a huge amount apart from that, to be fair. We are struggling a little bit in terms of numbers. As I said earlier, our squad's looking a little bit thin, so it's very difficult to say what else we might expect as an attacking force. But what I would also say is that Joe Worrell is having another fabulous season. There's talk of interest in him from the Premier League again, but I would imagine that he's a player that if Forest are going to do well, they're going to want to keep Johnson and Worrell, and they have probably been the two most visibly important players for the Reds so far this season.
I know you just had 2-0 loss to Middlesbrough, but how are Forest fans feeling about this one?
How are we feeling about this match? Oh, you know what? That's a very different question to what it might have been a few days ago, because Forest were really riding the crest of a wave. We'd got 3 wins on the bounce before Christmas. And then, of course, we come up against Middlesbrough, who are a team in form. We have an off day. Middlesbrough were very, very good indeed. And we lose 2-0. And so the mood changes, doesn't it? However, what's important is that Cooper has said the right things, whether we've been winning or, on this occasion, losing, which is that it's all about progression. So let's wait and see. It's not how you cope when you're doing well that's important, it's how you cope when times are hard. So there's some quiet optimism that Forest will be able to pick up again after that setback.
And what are you expecting from the game against Huddersfield?
Well, you're in decent form. You've got a striker who's banging him in at the moment. You are a team that is able to, from the outside at least, able to dig in and get results. What you possibly lack is the consistency that Forest have found since Steve Cooper's taken over as the gaffer. So with this one, I think that, look, when you're at home, you always want to win your home matches, don't you? Forest have probably been a bit slower at home than they have been in their away games up until the Middlesbrough match. However, what I would say is that consistency has been the key there. And the thing that I've always been very impressed with is that Forest, even in the matches they've lost against Fulham and Borough, they've not stopped playing in those matches. So I would hope that that would be Forest's strength, and being able to put in a performance for 90 plus minutes will see them do well on Thursday evening.
And finally, Rich, as I ask everyone, how do you see the game going and what's your score prediction?
Oh, I hate making predictions. You know I do. But given what I've just said, I think that Forest will be looking to bounce back. I think Huddersfield will be confident of getting a good result themselves because they're feeling confident. However, Forest are generally pretty good defensively, and if players like Johnson and Zinkernagel can do their bit, then I'm going to plump for a 2-1 home win.